Dragon Ball Daima is not Toriyama's final project. Rumor has it that Mr. Toriyama, prior to his passing earlier this year, worked on one more Dragon Ball project, and it was a Dragon Ball Super related project. On this video today, I want to discern the difference between rumor and fact when it comes to this story about the next Dragon Ball Super movie. So by the end of this video, and make sure you watch it all the way to the end, you will have a complete understanding of what's actually going on involving the next Dragon Ball Super movie and the Dragon Ball franchise and where the series is moving in the future. 2024 is an election year, and the best candidate is right now on your screen, and that is a man we can all trust, the strongest in the world, Mr. Satan. After many years, I brought this design back for a limited time. The Mr. Satan 2024 merch line in various colors and sizes, and not just that, also various styles. This is a very limited run, so do not wait. The link is down below in the description. So as I said in the intro to the video, Dragon Ball Daima might not be Toriyama's final project, and there have been rumors swelling for quite some time of another Dragon Ball Super movie, and Toriyama having his hands in that prior to his passing, and I'm going to get into all of that on this video. Make sure you watch it all the way to the end so that you have a complete understanding of what's going on and you are fully informed on the situation. First of all, I want to make clear that Dragon Ball Daima is not a replacement for the Dragon Ball Super anime. Last November, I produced an in-depth video discussing why Dragon Ball Daima exists and why they chose to go with this as opposed to bringing back Dragon Ball Super. And in that video, I went into details of what was going on behind the scenes that literally nobody else was covering. And then lo and behold, months later, this story went public in a Japanese magazine about the behind the scenes conflict between Akio Ioku of the Dragon Ball Room and Shueisha, which continued after the passing of Toriyama, because now they are still debating what they're going to do with the future of Dragon Ball behind the scenes. And I do hope they come to a conclusion quickly, because this feels so unnecessarily dragged out, and it's quite annoying being a fan waiting for them to resolve their issues. What I wanted to make clear is that originally, Dragon Ball Daima was meant to be a web series, a streaming series. This is why the first episode got those extra 10 minutes, because it was supposed to be a streaming series to be produced for some kind of a streaming service, Crunchyroll, Netflix, whomever, as an exclusive property, until Fuji Television stepped in and offered to air it right around the time Toriyama passed away. What Dragon Ball Daima truly is it's a story, it's a self-contained story that Toriyama helped write along with the staff of Toei Animation that was too long to be just a movie, like, for example, Broly and Superhero, but not long enough to be a fully length Dragon Ball anime like what Super was and Dragon Ball Z were. Dragon Ball Daima, although we do not have a specific final episode count as of this video, is supposedly only going to be around for about 6 or 7 months. So it's a self-contained story, self-contained anime, but it will also, according to what I've been told, tie into the future of Dragon Ball at some point. However, I was told that prior to the passing of Toriyama, therefore that may have changed. Unfortunately, the distant future of Dragon Ball is not clear at the moment, but we did get some clarity recently in an interview with Victory Uchida, who referred to Toyotaro as the creator of Dragon Ball Super. Now, understand that some people may have gotten this twisted. When he refers to Toyotaro as the creator, that doesn't necessarily mean that Dragon Ball Super was originally made by him, because it wasn't. If we rewind to 2015, Dragon Ball Super was originally commissioned by Toei Animation as a new Dragon Ball anime, and Shueisha would follow up by hiring Toyotaro to produce the Dragon Ball Super manga as a promotional manga. A lot of people forgot that Super was originally a promotional manga before it sort of went out on its own and created its own continuity, and in most recent years has continued the story of Dragon Ball Super with the Moro, Granola, and later on the superhero manga arcs, which were co-written by Toyotaro and Toriyama. But now Toyotaro is being referred to as the creator of Dragon Ball Super because from this point forward, he is the primary creative behind the series. Now, I know that a lot of you guys do not like Toyotaro. I know a lot of you guys do like Toyotaro. He definitely has pros and cons as an artist and as a writer. But he's been proclaimed to be continuing the Dragon Ball Super story at some point in the future with regards to the manga. Not necessarily this next movie. But more on that here in just a moment because I have more to tell you. So Toyotaro worked alongside Toriyama for the manga and became his understudy. There is a misconception out there that Toriyama handpicked Toyotaro, and that's false. That is not what happened. Toyotaro was hired by Shueisha after he worked on the Dragon Ball Heroes manga as Toyble many years ago, and Toriyama established a relationship with him in the past few years, and Toyotaro would become his student, but it wasn't like Toriyama handpicked him. No, that's not what happened, but they did grow closer in working together on this manga. And I'm certain that Toyotaro wants to do nothing more than respect the legacy of the man who was his teacher and his inspiration. So going forward, the manga will be primarily his creative. Now, I want to briefly discuss Sasuke Toriyama. Sasuke Toriyama is the son of Akira Toriyama, and there was talk that he was taking over. First of all, there's a very big misconception behind this. Sasuke Toriyama is not a writer or a professional mangaka. He's not a professional artist. He is not somebody who is equipped to continue telling the story of Dragon Ball. However, because he is Toriyama's son, it would make logical sense that he be the one to take over Toriyama's estate as well as Toriyama's company, Bird Studios. What that means is that profits that are made from Dragon Ball, whether it be movies, anime, manga, video games, whatever, are going to funnel into Sasuke Toriyama because he was the next of kin. But he's not going to be writing anything Dragon Ball related that we know of because he's just not a writer. Now, when it comes to Daima, you have to remember, Dragon Ball Daima was commissioned 2 years ago. The production on it began 2 years ago, and recently the producer stated that the series is complete. Now, this is not 100% accurate because there are still some touch-ups being done, and there are still some episodes that have not been completed yet animation-wise. However, for the most part, the scripts are pretty much complete, which means that it seems like Toriyama, prior to his passing, was able to greenlight the script for Dragon Ball Daima of the various episodes. Remember, the scripts were written by Toei Animation writers, but it was Toriyama that had to approve it. And this is something that no other Dragon Ball series had. Not Dragon Ball, not Z, not GT, and not Super. Those anime were produced in a totally different type of way. With the original Dragon Ball and Z, they were adapted from Toriyama's manga. So Toriyama's manga was the main story from his brain that Toei was borrowing ideas from and adapting, while also asking Toriyama to fill in some lore questions and to draw some anime-only characters, such as people like Pikkon and other, anime-only models. With Dragon Ball Super, Toriyama wrote manuscripts that the Toei Animation writers would adapt into individual episodes. But with Daima, it was sort of the reverse, where the Toei writers would come up with the episode, send it to Toriyama, and he would approve and make changes accordingly. So objectively, Dragon Ball Daima featured more involvement from Toriyama than any anime project, with the exception of the recent movies like Broly and Superhero, which Toriyama wrote the scripts for. Now, the reason as to why I'm giving you this history lesson is to bring you up to speed on some things, because I know that not everybody can watch every video, and I have to catch you up on what's been going on and how this is going to work. So moving forward, Toyotaro will be the one in charge of the manga, but what about this new movie? So first and foremost, I want to say that the talk of a new movie is nothing new, because Dragon Ball Room head and Capsule Corp Tokyo head Akio Ioku himself stated right after the release release of Superhero that he wanted to produce a new Dragon Ball movie every 2 to 3 years. Now, regardless of how you feel about Broly and Superhero, these movies were huge successes both in Japan and outside of Japan. So naturally, we knew that a new movie was coming. However, when Toriyama passed away, it became very questionable because we didn't know what the future held and if he had any notes left over. There was a lot of this that was not uncovered. And to be honest, even up until now, we really are not sure what Toriyama had already sort of saved and what he submitted to Toyotaro and to Toei. There may be tons of notes and scraps and different things he left behind, and I do hope we get information on this. But what wound up happening was some of the leakers in the Dragon Ball fandom spoke to me and discussed that they had heard rumblings of another Toriyama project that he was working on prior to him passing away, and that would be the next Dragon Ball movie. Now, this was not going to be part of the Dragon Ball Daima marketing. This was a separate thing. Dragon Ball Daima is its own sort of anime that was a web anime and is now on Fuji TV, and of course is also going to be on Crunchyroll, in certain markets. But this new film was going to be back to the Dragon Ball Super branding, which means it would be a continuation of the story that the previous two films had established. So it was going forward in the timeline, not back like Daima. However, as I said earlier in the video, the characters, the realms, and the ideas presented in Dragon Ball Daima were originally supposed to be a factor later on, possibly with this film, although I cannot say that for certain. I did see some people get confused because I think people mistakenly misheard that I said that the Daima characters were being introduced to be in the next Dragon Ball Super film, and that is not what I said, but that is a possibility for certain, that we'll see Glorio, Pansy, and whoever else they meet in the Demon Realm in future Dragon Ball Super stories, either with the manga, with a future anime, or with this next movie. However, as of right now, I cannot confirm that. Once these leakers told me that, I started asking around, and there was a source that informed me that they also heard that the production on the Dragon Ball Super movie was set to begin at some point late in 2024. I didn't report on this at the time because I was also told that Daima was the primary objective of the animation studio. They wanted to wrap Daima up first before they started working on anything else. You have to remember that because Dragon Ball Super had so many production issues when it first started because Super was rushed, Daima had 2 years of pre-production. Therefore, the anime staff was way ahead of schedule, and that's why Daima looks so crisp and beautiful and polished, because Super, in the early episodes, was very rushed. And putting too much work on an already spread thin anime department is going to make things a lot more difficult. You want to give them time to cook something good. You want to give them plenty of time. It's like when you bake a cake. If you open up the oven every time you bake the cake every 5 minutes, the cake will not properly bake and you're going to ruin it. But if you let it cook, let it bake in the oven, you're going to have delicious results. That's how it is when it comes to animation. You want to give the animators and the production staff enough time, and that's 2 years for Dragon Ball Daima for it to look its absolute best. Shortly after, one of the other leakers informed me that there would be an announcement very, very soon, but was not sure when. Maybe in October, maybe in December. October being the big Daima event. I have my doubts about anything being announced here, but it is certainly a possibility. And then, of course, Jump Festa in December, but I don't want to nail those 2 dates down, so please do not take this as me saying something will definitely get announced there, because I do not know. I genuinely have no idea if they're going to announce it, which is why the Dragon Ball Super new movie is right now just a rumor, because I don't have enough clarity to confidently tell you it's going to get announced on this date. The big question, however, is did Toriyama finalize the script for this film before he passed away? So while many of us believed that Toriyama worked on this, we're not sure if he actually finished it prior to his passing. And if not, who was it that finished it? Or who would be finishing it? Would it be Toyotaro? Would it be some writer at Toei? As of right now, that question is still a mystery, but make no mistake that should Toriyama have been involved in this script, his name will be all over this project because this would actually be the true final project that Mr. Toriyama was involved in prior to his passing. Earlier in the year, I thought that it was possible that this project was going to end up being canceled, but these bits of information came to me very recently, just in the last few weeks. So that means that somebody internally is still under the impression that this project is moving forward. So time will tell on this one. I'm going to classify it right now as just a rumor, and I'm being very transparent and forthcoming with you guys. I'm not going to be gatekeeping information, and I'm not trying to, just blow smoke up your ass. I'm telling you what I know and what I don't know, and I'm being honest with you. So I think it's best to qualify it as a rumor, even though it does seem likely. I would still not be too excited about it, only because it's probably best to wait for the official announcement, and then hopefully they'll be transparent with us and tell us how much Toriyama wrote, if he actually did finish the script, and if he didn't, how far he got with that, and who's going to complete the work. That is all questions that remain to be answered, and once we find out, of course, I will fill you in. Make sure you have all notifications turned on because you don't want to miss a single video that I drop about this and Daima and whatever else comes down the pipe. Check out these videos on your screen right now for more.